Hey bye, Thomas here. Take a look at that. There's my dad's new mill. We're up here at the Timberking pickup location here in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm up here with my dad, and now we're going to go ahead and haul this thing over to the caves. And we're gonna do a little look at what they have at the caves. They are doing some secret squirrel stuff in there, so we can't go over everything. But I'm getting some really good insight from the Timberking folks. Very excited about this 2220 mill. Awesome Kubota 49 horsepower. I mean, very similar to my buddy Mr. Rick's 2520. But tell you what, folks, I am super stoked. Like super stoked. So now we're gonna head over, like I said, to the caves, and we'll do kind of a little walk around, if you will. We can't film on the inside because, again, there's a whole lot of secret squirrel stuff going on, but we will show you kind of the experience from picking up from the caves. So stay tuned. Look, all these logs have TK on it. Stay tuned, and here we go. Matt's waiting for me, so I gotta get up there. Well, folks, we're rolling down the road now. If you look behind, you can see our brand new 2220 mill. We're very excited, and Matt is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot say the nice enough words about Matt. We also met Jason, number one. Super cool dude. He's been there for a long time, and he actually said he actually worked on my mill. So Jason, thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting a lot of the folks there. I had a blast. I mean, all around great people, great products. I could not be happier. So I'll continue showing more on this video. When we get the mill home, we'll go ahead and set it up and everything. We're gonna do some cutting and see what this mill can do. I've run the 2520 mill before. Let's see how the 2220 mill holds up, and also we're gonna see how it compares to my 2000 mill. I got a feeling twice the power is gonna be pretty nice, so we'll see. All right, folks, so stay tuned and we'll cover some more. Thanks. All right, folks, we made it in last night. It was about 10:30, I believe, last night from Kansas City, Missouri, back here to our farm in Tennessee. So my dad, again, this is gonna be my dad's mill. The 2220 is a fantastic mill. It would be great for me. However, I am extremely happy with my Timberking 2000, and my building is not big enough and I don't have time to build a new one. So this is gonna stay here with my dad, which is perfect. This is for his business. And I think it's gonna be phenomenal. So we're gonna do a quick little walkthrough on this, because I know some people want to say, what are the differences between this, a 2000 and say a 2520? Okay, so this is almost identical to a Timberking 2020 and 2520. The differences are on the 2220 and the 2520, you have these updated toe boards. These updated toe boards are quite massive, and again, they still have the same type of roller. It's just much larger than what I have on my 2000, what would be on a 22 or 2020. But these things lift up quite high. Whenever I was watching Rick with his 2520, I was amazed at how high these things lift. These things lift about 6 inches or so up off the deck, whereas on the 2000 or the 2020, they only lift about 4 inches. Heck, these might actually lift more. So it's this pivot point right here. So if you measure from here to here, actually we're talking about 8 inches at least, maybe, no, more. But you got to take in consideration the height of the deck here. So about 8 inches or so. That's a pretty high lifting toe board. And now they pivot up, whereas mine just has a cylinder and just pushes up. So that's pretty impressive. Again, the log turner on here, it looks about the same size as mine. I don't know if there's any difference there or not. The log stops are the same as on my 2000 mil or on the 2020 or 2520. The log dog and out appears to be about the same as well. It's just everything's a little bit wider on this mill than what I have on my mill. So my mill will do a max width of cut of 35 inches. This one, along with all the 2020, the 2220, and the 2520, will all cut 38 inches. So that means between your guides, you can do 38 inches. So we'll show you what that looks like. If you're back here from the operator's location, if you move that all the way out there, that is 38 inches wide from roller to roller. Now, to get a 38-inch wide cut, you have to have the straightest, most possible log ever. Like absolutely, perfect logs. But as you can see, this guide roller tucks in behind there. So literally from this cover right here over to the edge of that guide roller there, which is about what that cover is over there. So pretty impressive. And again, they maintain the 16-inch cutthroat, as you can see, from the blade height to the frame height right here. You have 16 inches. And in fact, I think it's a smidge more. There might be a little bit more room in there, but that's pretty impressive there. The engine on this thing, double the horsepower from what is offered on my 2000 or the 2020. If you go with the diesel option on the 2020 model, it's a 4-cylinder V1505 Kubota diesel engine. It's a fantastic engine. It's naturally aspirated, this, that, and the other. This one right here is a 3-cylinder, 49 horse turbo Kubota diesel engine. I don't know the actual model number, so we're going to go here and take a look. And it has a whole lot of shielding on here, so I can't see right there. I will have to get the actual engine or number. I see 94N55, but that is not what I believe the engine number is. So I'll have to do some more research to figure out the exact engine number on this. I've looked it up before, but I cannot remember. I believe it's a Super 3 series Kubota diesel. That's a well-known series of diesel engine that Kubota's had for quite a while. It's pretty impressive. I like the little intercooler for the turbo. Pretty cool. So yeah, beefier radiator, of course. Now this does have a diesel particulate filter because it is over 25 horsepower. Anything over 25 horsepower, you have to run a diesel particulate filter. So yeah, it has Kubota's diesel particulate filter. Not really the biggest fan of that, but it's the day and age that we live in now. So that's what we have to deal with. So if you get the 2220 or the 2520, the diesel engine that you get on there will have a diesel particulate filter to make it tier 4 compliant or whatever. The tandem axle, this is found on the 2220 as well as the 2520. Now something else I did not know, this is not on the 2000 or the 2020 mill, but on the larger mill here where you have the tandem axle, they put a stainless steel plate up on top of your fender. On my mill, I do get a little bit of rubbing from the energy chain, and it does take off a little bit of the paint and everything scuffed up. That right there will allow that energy chain to slide back and forth without getting your paint scuffed up. So that's pretty cool, Ad. This thing trailered last night like a dream. I mean, yes, it is heavy. This mill is about 5,800 pounds. So let's just say we'll round up 6,000 pounds. So it's a little bit heavy. However, it does trailer very well. Now, something else I'll say, on the way up in my Ram 2500, 2016 model and everything, we got 22.7 miles to the gallon. On the way back, we got 11.3. This mill, because your saw head is so far back and you have this essentially wind parachute sail behind you and everything, yes, it is a bit rough on fuel economy, which I've seen that in the past before, so I knew that was going to happen. It's about like whenever I'm towing that trailer over there. It's just a big old wind sail. So overall, though, I'm impressed with the build quality. As all of Timberkings are built literally like a tank, I am very impressed with this one thus far. So here in a second, we're gonna go ahead and move this mill, and we're gonna go over a few more functions about it. Stay tuned. All right, folks, so we have set the mill up. We have leveled it out and everything. And again, you can see it's best to do a cross member going all the way across. We chose to use some white oak, and we had some pine little shims we put on there. The front side of the mill, definitely, the ground does slope down, so we had to build the front side of the mill up more than the back. All right, so we're gonna talk about what we just did here. So when we traveled down the road, and this is something you should do anytime you travel down the road with your mill if you're going some kind of great distance. We went down the road and everything, and once we got here, I did check the level of the head across the bed bunks. So what I did is I moved the actual guide roller here all the way back and everything, put the head itself as low as the deck as it could be, and then measured off one of these bunks being our reference point and everything. And because the log will be sitting on there, that's what we want to measure off of. So we want to make sure you have a known reference point. Once we put the saw head over there, you could see that there was a little bit of sag that occurred in the actual mill head. And that is totally common. These are brand new chains and everything. That's a rather large 50 horse diesel engine there, so it's got some weight to it. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, I believe, 400 and something pounds, plus all the head. So anyways, there's a lot of weight there on the head, moving up and down, and you'll get some chain stretch. We actually didn't get any stretch on the left side of the mill here, as I'm looking at it, we had it on the right side. So it was 1/8 of an inch low on the right side. And what we did to correct that, I did this in another video. If you look up very top there, there is a nut on top there. I did about a 1.5 turns or 1 3/4 turns. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then brought that out. It might have been a little bit more than that. But anyways, we measured on the deck there to make sure that we had a level deck. Then once we had that leveled, we went ahead back here to the computer and we wanted to see what the blade height was. Now, I'll go ahead and crank this on and show you a few other things. It does take a little time to boot up, but once we set it across the deck and everything, we know we were at 1 inch. We went ahead and reset home. And I'll verify that again here just momentarily. Pretty cool startup system here. It does take a second. You'll hear the fuel pump kick on. Touch the green button right there one time. Engine cranks up. Pretty nice. We'll go ahead and move the saw head forward. About right there. And then we're going to go ahead and bring it down. And what I'm looking for is, you'll see on the scale right here, when I bring it down, it should read 1 inch, and it does. 1 inch and 1 inch. Now again, I verified by measuring off the bunk there 1 inch. And by doing so, I knew that was true 1 inch. And then I came back here and set my home at 1 inch. And every time I crank up the mill, if I see anything different there, because you will over time get some stretch and some change. I've had it happen to me over some time, everything, but that's something you want to check. I don't check it very often. Maybe, I don't know. You'll know if your lumber starts coming out a little bit thinner. Also, something else we did, I'll bring the mill head all the way back here. Boom. All right, so when we first checked the mill, I didn't have any room right here. So this Teflon piece was flush with the steel piece. Now I've got about, I don't know, just under 1/4 of an inch of gap, and on the other side now I have a 1/4 inch of gap. What it was, and we actually verified this, it was 1 link of chain off. So what I did is, on this side right here, we loosened up this side, went up to the top, and brought 1 link of chain over. Now, I've talked about this in another video too. If the saw head jerks back and forth and everything, you can create like a whip action to that chain, and you can jump a link. This happens on pretty much any saw head that is controlled via chain. I know this has happened on Cook's mills before. It happens on Timberkings. It's just something you check. The indication that's going to give you if you have this issue is you might have a little side-to-side head shake. And it's not a big deal. I just don't like any shaking of the mill. I like everything to be dialed in on my mill when I'm running it. So we did that. Again, quick and easy fix. And now we are getting ready to go ahead and run this oak log and put it onto the mill. Now, controls on this mill are the exact same as my other mill. Now, this is something interesting. When we were doing the measurement of the saw deck and everything and blade, we wanted to make sure every time we adjusted something, we cycled the mill head all the way up and down. And my dad was impressed on how high this thing goes. He's like, "It's going off the tape." I said, "Yes, this mill can handle a 39-inch diameter log. So if you bring the mill head all the way up, you should read somewhere in the neighborhood of like 39-ish inches or so." 36, okay. So 36 high, 39 wide. So that's a very large diameter log, and I'll have to verify that again, but that's up over the tape at 36 inches. So that's the same height as mine. So again, we cycle the mill head up and down to make sure everything's good there. Also, while I got the mill head up here, you also, on a brand new machine, just cycle your hydraulics. Everything will be kind of tight. I mean, this mill is really, really tight compared to my current mill that I have, which is my 2000 mill. Now, a cool thing is these toe boards. Now, I've got my hand on the camera, so it's hard to show. Check how high those toe boards reach. They pivot up. We're gonna go up here and kind of give an idea of measurement. That is about 8 inches high. Those things come up quite a bit over my 2000 mil. And I like the design. Doesn't seem like there's any really play. Like my mill, the toe boards will have a little play to it, and I don't really mind that and everything. These, I don't believe, will have any play. So you have a lot of room to work with on these toe boards. Very heavy duty hydraulic cylinder underneath there. But so far, I think we've done all of our initial checks. Did the loading arms, of course, down, but we don't use those too often unless we have a very, very large log. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and load a log on here, get some water in our tank, and get this mill cutting. Now I will say this, I also had to measure how high the machine is at max height because we are gonna be building our sawmill building here. And it's really hard to get an exact measurement because, I mean, literally this mill is so big. But I think it's somewhere around like 11.4, 11.6, somewhere in that range. I really couldn't get an absolute perfect measurement. I was kind of eyeballing it to the top of that intake for the air filter and everything. If you build a building 12 foot high, a 12 foot high building, you would be able to clear down the length of the machine. So that is our goal. We're gonna build our inside of our building. Now we have to account for, we're gonna put a concrete floor in too. We need to have at least 12 foot high of clearance so that at the maximum height, we will not make contact with anything. So again, without further ado, now that we've got the mill all dialed in, we've checked all of our measurements and everything, we're gonna go ahead and get this log on there, we'll get the water into the tank, and we'll make our first cuts, so stay tuned. All right, folks, the time has come. We're gonna go ahead and load this log on there. Since we have not used loaders yet, we're gonna go ahead and try using the loaders on this, just to make sure all systems are functioning as they should. This log right here is a red oak log, just over 12 foot long, and on the butt end down here, looks to be about 2 foot by about 20-ish inches or so. So I'm gonna crank up the machine. It does take a little time to boot up, so I'll edit out some stuff there, and then we'll load it on. All right, here's my first take. That's the first cut that we have ever done on this machine. Wow. That engine never slowed down. While we were cutting through it, there's a cool feature on the actual gauge itself. It tells you like how much percentage of the engine was being used. And I didn't cut slow and I didn't cut too fast. I kind of cut somewhere in the middle because this is, again, I'm in the break-in period. The first 10 hours you want to break it in, you don't want to run it too dang hard. That machine never even began to grunt. It just powered through it. And as you can see, probably the width of cut we had there is about 18 inches or so wide, and it did not even grunt. And you saw it handling the log, all that and the other. I am extremely, extremely impressed. I'm not gonna lie, my 25 horsepower, yes, you would hear the engine load up a little bit. This thing never skipped a beat. It literally powered through that sucker, no problem. Now, also on the screen, it shows you the percentage of use of engine. I think we were running about 62%. 62%, folks. That's pretty impressive. So we're gonna continue to cut. I know this is gonna be a longer video, but I want to show this machine. We'll get a little bit different angle here, and you can see from my control area. But again, the cut, of course, it's a Timberking. It's gonna cut great, and it's based on really the blade too. But very happy with the cut quality. It really ran great. Now, brand new machine, first cut. Yeah, I'm happy. So again, what we're gonna show, kind of from my point of view. Now I will try my best to not be in the way so you can see this, but you can see my screen there. Hopefully the wind's not too bad. In fact, I gotta bring it back because I gotta leave myself a little bit of room. All right, so we're gonna turn the log. Again, same exact controls on the 2000 or the 2020, the 2220, and the 2520. I'm gonna bring my log turner up, and then you can see up there. Bring my log dog back, bring my log stop up, lift slightly off the turner, and then commence the turning of the log. And then, next I can turn it up. Bring my log dog in. I'd like to give a visual down the length of the log. So everything looks pretty squared up right there. Again, watch on the screen here. I hope you can see that. Yeah, you can. My RPM right now is about 1800. I'm at 26% or so usage of engine. Now you might see me make some weird hand movements because on my mill, my throttle is right here underneath the control panel. And I've done this like 3 times now. Now my throttle is here, so it's a bit different. I am getting used to it. But the clutch, same location. Go ahead and gauge the clutch. Super, super quiet. I mean, that was impressive. And we're gonna go ahead and speed up the engine. So, rabbit speed. Up to 2700 RPM. You can see we're about 62% of engine usage right here. That's pretty awesome. That engine tone never really changed. I never heard it really change. Maybe you did, maybe I don't know. I did not hear it change. What I'll say is the sawdust right here is blowing right into our face. We'll have to look at options of direction of the mill head. I'm gonna speed up just a little bit. That thing is amazing, folks. Absolutely amazing. And watch the engine drop off. As soon as I get through the log, I'm at 62. Now you see it drop down to about 32% or so. Yeah. Go ahead and disengage the clutch. Because I'm doing this as a one-man operation right now, I don't like to get in front of the blade. Without, again, no grunting, no groaning. The engine is running like a champ. Also, if you know me, the exhaust right now, the little flapper on top there is rattling, and that's going to drive me absolutely nuts. But unfortunately, we can't take that off yet until we actually get our building built. So there's that. We're going to go ahead and turn the log in. I'm doing this all at idle. The speed at this is actually not bad at idle. The fact that you can handle logs at idle, that's always a plus. Especially for my situation where I record videos, so you kind of hear what I'm doing. So again, I'll show a slightly different angle so you can see the log going, or the sawmill going through the log. But very happy thus far with how this thing is cutting. I mean, folks, it's like a dream come true. All right, so that'll be a pretty good little close angle right there, and I'll do another angle here in just a second. But I'm loving it, man. This is pretty nice. My dad's gonna be so happy. All right, folks, so that last cut I did a little bit faster and everything because I'm, again, trying to break in the machine, but I don't want to go too crazy. The highest percentage usage of engine that I saw was 68%. Folks, this thing, I'm not going to say that it makes my mill look like a toy, but yeah, when you have double the horsepower, yeah, it's quite impressive. That mill, literally, the engine will not be the limiting factor when you're cutting. Your limiting factor on this mill will be the blade. How much stress can you put on your blade? How much can that blade handle? So, yes, 50 horsepower on a mill this size is ample power. My buddy's 2520. I was thinking the same thing when I saw his. We were cutting through some 24-inch diameter hickory, and it didn't even bat an eye. I think this mill will handle just about the same. So, whew, first look, y'all, I'm super stoked, super excited about this 2220 and what it's going to do for my dad's business up here in Tennessee. He is super excited. Now I got to get him learned up on how to use this machine. And yeah, I'm very impressed thus far. Like, this engine, she's pretty sweet. She's pretty sweet. And as you can see, the cut's great. I'm very excited. So stay tuned. I'll throw on a few more things, but I'm hoping you're enjoying this video at this first look at this Timberking 2220. Thanks. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video of our first look at the Timberking 2220. Very impressed. Very impressed. Now, this mill also says that it cuts 24 foot. I'll have to show this at a later time, but we'll put a tape on here and actually see what she will actually cut. I believe we'll cut 24 foot in some change. But we're going to see if we can actually even modify that just to cut a smidge longer, just to be able to have just that extra capability. But we'll see. Something we're looking at down the road, not right now. But overall, very impressed. I didn't think it'd be quite as much of a difference between my mill, the Timberking 2000, and then this mill, the 2220, excuse me. It is actually a big upgrade. That, you know, when you double the horsepower, I spoke about this earlier, it is really impressive. Now, there's a few little things that I have to get used to. These toe boards that lift up and down, and I had this happen a few times to me, and I think I spoke about this too. The toe boards on my mill are much closer to the bunks themselves. They're actually about right here, somewhere in this region right here. When you get a log and it's not positioned correctly on here, or if it's a log less than 8 foot, I found if it had a knot or anything, I would grab on this side, especially on that back toe board over here. So what would happen was, say the log was protruding off of here, somewhere to this region right here, and as I was turning it, the log would pin right here, because typically on my mill it would be over here on the 2000 mill, but on this mill it's way out here. But long story short, we were able to overcome that, and really it just comes into placement of the log and the turners. But again, if you're cutting 8 foot or maybe even less than 8 foot, I can see that being a little bit of an issue. So you just have to make sure you take that into consideration. I was trying to tell my dad, hey, you want the turner to be kind of in the center of the log. So he was doing that, or he was trying to get it where the toe boards would lift it up. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the exact log placement. Now, something else Timberking did say we could do, and it's probably something we will do, and my buddy Rick did this, is you actually can flip either this one or this one, the toe board, to the inside. And I'll have to look at my buddy Rick's and see what he did. But anyways, what that would do is it'll give you actually I think it's this side. It actually gets your toe boards closer together, and it'll make it easier for your handling of the log. Now, the toe boards on these, they lift up really high, and my dad really likes that. They lift up higher than, they lift up probably 4 inches higher than mine. And that's not a bad thing. It's just different. I'm just not used to that. But I will say, if you have a log with a huge bell, that could definitely come in handy. But again, very, very impressed with this machine. I know my dad is going to love this. I mean, this is going to be fantastic for his business up here. And hopefully you'll see some of the other videos, but we kind of are taking some data from this video, taking some other videos, but I recorded, I think, 2 or 3 videos in the past 3 days with this mill. So since having this mill, we've had it now in hand for 2.5 days. In 2.5 days, I've put, I don't know, 2,500 or so board foot is what I've cut up. I've cut up quite a bit of wood with this in just 2.5 days. And mostly what we've been held up with is the rain. So I have a few more little training things I'm gonna do with my dad. Now that the weather's kind of cleared up, we'll go over a few little things here. And then his next big thing is he's got to get this building built. The building is going to be over here somewhere. We already learned that the orientation the mill is currently is not good. We need to change the orientation to a east-west direction. We'll have the head on the west side, and we'll have the tongue on the east side. Right now we're kind of north-south, and yeah, based on the way the winds are blowing and stuff like that, this is not the location. So again, please like, subscribe. Channel is always growing, and I very much do appreciate that. And we have a very good video coming up also. We did this mill, we're reviewing some pretty cool stuff. We got a carbide tip blade that we're going to be reviewing, so stay tuned for that video. I should post this video first, and then, you know, a week or so after that, I'll post the carbide blade video. And really the premise is a carbide tooth blade worth it? That's all I'm going to say. Is it worth it? So stay tuned. We'll see you around. Thanks.